Hey everybody, this is that German guy Josh Runquist, and I'm here with Tim Yeung from Morbid Angel, who's going to be doing the headlining set here for Summer Slaughter 2014 at the Skyway Theater in Minneapolis, Minnesota. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Hanging out here. I've never been to this venue. It's really big. It's cool. It's exciting. I'm doing good. I'm actually feeling really good today. How about yourself?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm seeing you guys for the second time now.
Cool.
The first time was a couple years back when you played with Station 4. I believe that was with, I think it was Grave and Dark Funeral.
I remember that. It was like 2-3 years ago.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Big one. Oh man, how could I forget Station 4?
Yeah.
With the pole in the middle of the stage.
Oh yes. Sadly, that place is gone, but right. That means that Summer Slaughter is here at Skyway, and it seems like a really cool venue.
Yeah, this is a really neat venue. It looks really cool. It's a weird, really crazy setup. This building, but it's kind of neat. Right around the corner from Station 4. I haven't played there in a while. It doesn't seem like they do a lot of metal shows there anymore, do they?
Oh, they actually closed down Station 4.
Really? It's closed down?
Yeah, it closed down. I think it's been about 1.5 years now.
So that building's just sitting there vacant, huh?
Yeah, it's up for, I think it's $1.2 million right now.
Jeez.
It's up for. The cops actually came down and closed it because of all the renovations that needed to be done with it. And obviously playing there, it gets super hot in there, and there's been a lot of cases of like dehydration and everything going on.
Yeah. It's a very particularly interesting venue with a lot of interesting history. So I'm sure someone will snag it up and get it going back up. We played somewhere last year. I forget what the name it was, but it was around this area. Newer venue, nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was actually cool as well.
Mill City Nights?
Maybe that was it.
I was actually in the hospital during that show, but my band actually opened for you guys, Beauty Decay.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, they were the first band that night.
Okay, cool. I remember just the dressing rooms were upstairs, and they were really nice, and they had a nice shower, and those are the things that you tend to remember as a musician on the road. The venues that have the nice showers or bathrooms. Those are probably like the really, really great selling points on a venue. Is like, oh, okay, this place is really awesome because they have really good shower and the restrooms and the dressing room is cool. Or if there's really awesome catering as well, or if it has everything, then it's a complete win. Sometimes it's hard with these playing some of the third market venues. They don't all have that.
No, that's true. But it's actually just a couple blocks down that way is Mill City.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. Oh, that one is okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, Skyway's here, and then there's First Avenue, and then another block down is Mill City Nights.
Wow, it's like they're all on the same Ave right there.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah,
right on.
Yeah, it's kind of like the metal scene kind of moved from St. Paul to Minneapolis now. Once Station 4 closed down.
Cool. I don't miss Station 4 at all.
Yeah, I love it and hate it at the same time.
I did not miss that place, and it's like they had a lot of big shows there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I've been on like fairly big tours that were bigger than this, and we still roll into Station 4.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Well, I think it just had to do more with like Station 4 was more willing to have metal shows there, and then once that closed down, like other venues were more willing to have metal shows.
Yeah, it just seemed like it didn't really work out too well for everybody because it was always really super early. Mm-hmm. And there was no dressing room, no private bathrooms, no showers, and really nothing. And it was really hard. That stuff is really tough, especially if you don't have a bus. Luckily, I'm in a position in my life right now where I'll tour. I won't even tour in a van anymore. Mm-hmm. I just can't do it physically. My back is kind of messed up from sleeping and like that position and just laying like that for hours on end. I can't do it anymore. But I'm not in my 20s anymore, so but there are guys. There's younger kids out there doing that, and there's a bunch of dudes out here doing the van tours. And I did van tours for 10 years. Yeah, all my 20s were spent in a van, so it's hard. But when you go to a venue and it's just got like a nice dressing room, that alone is amazing.
Oh,
so
sure.
Yeah, it's not easy being on the road. You're doing 4 or 5 weeks in a van, or 10 years.
Well, I mean, you definitely made it that far, and you've earned it all the way there, of course.
It's taken a while, but it's cool. I'm thankful I'm just happy to be on the bus, and it's cool. It makes my my life a lot easier for what I do now. And you got some of these bands they roll right out of the bat and they're in a bus. I don't understand it.
Oh.
you know. But the others, you know, just other guys that are just vanning it. Some guys don't mind being in the van. I have friends that don't really mind doing the van run, you know. So to each his own.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, whatever way works to be able to get out on the road and play. I mean, like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And speaking of that, obviously you were here headlining with Summer Slaughter. How did that come to be?
I'm not sure. I think it was just presented to us through management and booking and everything, and we all agreed that it would be really, really cool to do. It would be a good time. It's a strong. I mean, Summer Slaughter tours. They go every year, and it's always extreme metal, and they always seem to do really good. So it would be really cool to headline it, since we never Morbid Angel's never done Summer Slaughter. So it's cool. It's just a lot of bands on here, but it's working out somehow. When I saw the package, I was like, man, how's this gonna work? Because some of these venues are so tiny, and there's so many bands. So there's a couple venues where I was kind of just questioning, like we were in Joliet yesterday, and that venue was way too small to handle this type of package tour. So aside from like some of the venues that were selected, just because of them, just the venues just not being big enough to accommodate, everything's been really, really fun. It's been cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool to see. And I've been checking out the set list. Normally I don't do that for bands I haven't seen before, but since I have seen you guys before, I like checking out the set list, see what's coming up. And it's a killer set. And I know last year you guys were touring behind Covenant, and this year's just like a really classic killer set. How did you guys come up with that for Summer Slaughter?
We all wanted to just do I mean, there's a lot of really good aggressive bands on this bill. So with that being said, we just wanted to pick all like the fast, crazy, and popular songs for this particular run. So we came up. I mean, this set is so intense when I'm playing on it. When I'm playing, I mean, I'm used to. I mean, we're going on 4 weeks because we were out a week prior to this. So I'm in good shape now. But this was definitely it's a crazy set. I mean, we're playing all the fast songs, all Morbid Angel's fast songs, with the exception of maybe 3 other fast songs that we left out. So it's really physically demanding on me. With that being said, I just been kind of, I guess my regimen is warm up here backstage. It's my little practice pad here, set up my little warm up kit. I know people that are listening can't see it, but it consists of a double pedal with a kind of like a kick drum beater that's stationary that you mount on the ground, a snare stand, and a mesh pad, and that's it, and a throne. And I sit here and I just go to town on it like a wind-up monkey for the first 15 minutes before I get on stage. Make sure I'm all warmed up, do all my stretches, hydrate. I drink probably about 4 waters before I even hit the stage. Maybe a power bar to kind of fuel up. Sometimes a Red Bull, sometimes coffee or Gatorade, and then usually 120 to 130 crunches beforehand. So yeah, I'm gonna probably do some right there underneath that chair. So every night I do like abdominal crunches. I usually do about 120 of them, just to kind of get my blood circulation throughout my core flowing, and those are my rituals, I guess I'd say.
Well, it's definitely a good way to go about it, and especially with like Morbid Angel's music like being so demanding on the drums. I mean, you got to be able to get that blood pumping before you head on stage. Yeah,
absolutely. It's really important. It's really essential to just get all that, just get everything kind of ready, get warmed up beforehand, because even as much as I warm up here, when you get up on the stage, you got lights, which create heat. Crowd creates heat. It's way hotter. It's loud. You're pumped, and then you're moving around a lot more when you're on the kit. You start sweating. So yeah, it's definitely good that I have this set up. I can't imagine not doing this before.
Yeah, it's definitely a good way to go about it.
Absolutely. At this point of my career, it's like quintessential. Before a performance, to have all this stuff so I can do my job right.
And speaking of doing that, with your setup, have you thought about changing your setup at all with being with Morbid Angel, or do you like the way that it's set up? Or how do you go about it?
Yeah, I actually did change it a little bit with them. See, beforehand, I never really liked using 2 floor toms, and a lot of their stuff will have parts that call for the 2 floor toms. So I actually added 2 floors. I used to have 4 rack toms. I only have 3 rack toms with Morbid Angel now. But I started doing that beforehand anyways. I just didn't really need the 4th rack tom. So as far as Morbid's configuration, I use everything. 10, 12, 13-inch rack toms, 14, 16-inch floor toms, or 16, 18. I prefer 16 and 18. This kit that I have on this run, I've been using with them for the past 2 years, is a D-Drum Paladin kit. And that kit has 14, 16, which is okay. They're loud. It's a really loud drum kit. Sabian cymbals, various brand. I'm using, I think, AA explosions for all my crashes now, but I cracked a few, so I don't know what I have on there right now. I broke like three crashes, I think, on this tour.
Oh wow!
So yeah, and they were brand new when we started. I just was really hitting hard. So. And Axis pedals, the Axis A longboards, Vic Firth drumsticks, and Remo drum heads. And I'm happy with all my companies. They sound great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very killer combination. I mean, I've always admired every setup that you've had, like throughout the various bands that you've had, and
yeah, it changes from band to band. Like I had a rock band I was doing a year ago, and I had a 24-inch kick with a 13-inch rack and 16 and 18-inch floors. And actually, that kit's set up at my house right now. So when I'm home and I practice, I play on a rock kit. So I have that, and then I have all my other huge double bass kits that are kind of just packed away until I need them. So for any like metal gigs, if I get some metal, I mean, obviously I probably have the same setup that I use with Morbid. It just works. It's comfortable. Crash cymbal configuration has pretty much been the same for a while with me now. Usually have 2 crashes up front, 2 crashes on both left and right side of me. Just regular hats, 14-inch hats on my left, and then 2 chunas on each side, left and right in the front. So, and with a ride, and occasionally I have the right-handed hat. It's a mix between a 13-inch, or 12-inch mini hats, Sabian a 12-inch mini hat top with a 14-inch china on the bottom, and it just sounds great. I've been doing that for doing that for the past 5 years. Yeah. I love it. It sounds good, and it really sounds. It's just the sound and the timbre is completely different from my regular hats, so it stands out a little more, and it sounds really neat. It's just really trashy and loud.
Yeah, and that's the idea of having like 2 different hi-hats in your setup, is to have 2 distinct different sounds to it. So
yeah, that's like, for me at least. I mean, it would be pointless to have 2 hats, right and left, and them sounding nearly identical. So I wanted, if I was gonna have like right hats, I wanted them to sound very noticeably different, and that's why I did the 14-inch china on the bottom and then the 12-inch mini hat on the top. It just it works really good. Yeah, I'm pretty happy about it.
Yeah, it definitely does sound really cool. So what are you guys' plans after this current tour?
After this tour, I go home for a little bit. I go back to LA for a few months, and then we don't do anything until it's looking like November. We go to Europe to do the Covenant anniversary tour in November, December. So we'll be there probably roughly like 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and then come back home. And then there's, I don't know what's going on for 2015. I know David's usually really busy with NAMM, the big National Association of Music Merchants Expo in Anaheim. As I'm usually busy, I do appearances there, so we usually do that. And then we usually get one-offs during the early part of the year, and then hopefully, if things are good or right, we'll be back out 2015 for the summer. I hope, and then who knows?
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
So with that said, is there any talks or possibility of new music coming out in the future?
There's some new stuff being written, but I'm not sure about it right now. We haven't really gotten that. I think right now everyone's just focusing on finishing up what we have this year. Now, during the downtime, there perhaps will hopefully be some writing going on, but nothing really confirmed yet. I mean, we're not really moving fast on that topic. It's not like, yeah, we have a whole nother album written. It's not like that. I know that there's some stuff being written in parts, sections, maybe a song or 2, but nothing locked yet.
Well, that's the important thing too. It's like when you're making a new album, it's got to sound natural rather than just having to put it out as fast as possible and then call it an album. I mean, it's got to be an album that you're proud of and want to put out there.
It just depends on your level of productivity and where you're going to prioritize. And right now, I don't know if it's like a huge priority or concern for other people in the band to want to write new material as it hasn't been written yet.
Right.
And I like to keep the ball rolling. If it were me, shit, we would. If it were up to me, we would have had a new album a year ago.
Right.
At least. Yeah, definitely. I mean, when did the last one come out? Lude came out 2011. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 2 years. 2 years later, you got a new album out. Yeah, 2013 would have been perfect. But we'll see.
Well, hopefully something comes out in the future at some point. I mean, it'd be cool to hear another album.
There will be.
Yeah.
When I don't know.
Right.
So.
So with that said, is there any time in your schedule for any of the other projects that you're involved in?
Man, possibly. I don't know what's going to be thrown my way. I mean, I had a couple projects, and I just kind of gave up on a couple of them, and I have a business at home in LA, and I'm pretty busy, so I was really kind of busy running that, and that took more priority than playing in a band. Since this year, I just kind of was like, okay, I need to kind of focus on this a little, because it was doing really good. I mean, I was doing great with it.
Yeah.
So I just focused on that. I'm sure I'll have something else. There are other projects that I'm in talks of. Nothing that I can really bring up right now, but there's a couple things that I got that could be a possibility for maybe early 2015. But we'll see what happens. You never really know, especially with me, as I've freelanced a lot and done a lot of session touring work for other people, and I'm always leaving that open because you never know. I mean, I do have sometimes quite a bit of time off in between tours, so I always like to keep busy. It's just a matter of is there really a demand for what I do?
Well, that is a good way to look at it too.
Yeah, definitely. So. Yeah, I'm just going to try to keep busy, and we'll see what happens.
Cool. Kind of going back into Summer Slaughter, how do you feel about this lineup with Morbid Angel touring with these bands?
It's really cool. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, I got to be honest, I don't know a lot of these bands on this tour. I'm just not familiar or well-versed with them. Obviously, I know about Origin. They've been around forever. And Dying Fetus and The Faceless. I know all those guys, Goat Horror. So those are the bands I knew about going in, and I heard, and I know their material. Some of the other bands, there's some really interesting stuff. It's cool. I mean, there's a lot of the other bands I haven't heard, but seem to have quite a draw. So it looks like a winner. I mean, every night I look out there's a lot of people out here. So I'd say it's a winning package. It's strong because it's packing every night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, as soon as I got here about like 15 minutes before doors opened, and it was already wrapped around the block, which was a cool thing to see.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So is there anything that you're currently listening to on the road?
What the heck am I listening to? I'm listening. You're probably gonna laugh, but I've been cranking for the past few nights. I've been playing baby metal.
Oh, nice.
I just think it's awesome. It's brilliant. It's like so. It's like nothing. It's never been done.
Yeah.
No one's ever done this. So I think it's really interesting artistically and musically and creative. Like, it's just creativity. The creative level of like fusing like teen pop with extreme metal is pretty cool. It's so I've listened to like the album. There's some really heavy stuff on it, like stuff that you're like, wow, this is like really really heavy. So I really dig that. And then I was playing DJ Shadow, Black Rebel Motorcycle Club. I've been playing them a lot on this run.
Nice.
And typical whatever stuff that I have on there. That's the other stuff. The other stuff I was listening to. I was listening to The Doors a lot too last week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I like a lot of stuff like that. I like a lot of analog stuff, and I don't really listen to a whole lot of metal on the road because I live it every night.
Oh, yeah.
So last thing I want to do is get in the bunk and crank a bunch of metal. So I usually listen to stuff that's kind of, with the exception of baby metal, that's the only metal I've really been listening to.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the thing about baby metal, too. It's like, I see them getting a lot of flack and everything, but to me, it's, if there's a way that you can get more people into metal, I'm all for it.
Absolutely. It's great. I think it's really cool. I think it's a brilliant idea. It's never been done before. They're covering ground that's, like, no one's ever done this. And I think it's neat. I really think it's neat. I like it a lot. I have nothing but good things to say about it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times people just get closed-minded to things that are a little out of the box or out of the ordinary, and I think that's the best. I mean, those are the best, things in life, are things that are kind of like out of your element or out of what you know. Those are like some of the most memorable. Anything, it doesn't matter if it's arts or food or whatever. I mean, it's that, to me, it's all about diversity and having a selection of everything and not being one-dimensional on just one thing. It doesn't matter what it is. So
yeah, I mean, I totally feel that way. I mean, being a drummer, it's like I don't want to stick to just listening to one style of music, because you never know what inspiration or creativity is going to come out from exposing yourself to what else is out
Of course, yeah. It's always good to be, I mean, if you're well seasoned with the stuff you listen to, it'll come out and you're playing if you're a musician. Or even if you're not a musician, if you're just kind of all around, like, very versatile with things that you like, I think you get more out of life. You just appreciate everything a lot more when you keep an open mind to everything around you. So that's, that's just kind of my spin on life and whatever. I mean, we all like what we like and don't like what we don't like. Believe me, there's a lot of stuff that I don't like. But, I mean, there's a lot of... I mean, I'm pretty open with when it comes to art and music and food and all the things that we all love in this world, So I'm never really one-dimensional with anything. I'm always willing to give something a listen or whatever, Yeah.
It's a good way to be, too. It's a great way to live life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just to wrap things up here, I know you're eventually going to need to be heading out in the practice and getting everything going here. Is there anything else that you'd like to bring up that I've not brought up yet?
Trying to think here. No, we covered gear. We covered everything. I think I'm good, man. If you have any other questions or whatever, personal questions, anything, go ahead, man. Fire away.
I pretty much hit everything that I liked. I like that we got into that stream of consciousness kind of thing, just like... I've just never been those fan of interviews where someone's just like reading a script. How did you get into Morbid Angel? It's like...
Yeah. There's nothing wrong. I mean, if you do a little bit of both, it's okay. Yeah. But it's always good to kind of just be just have some spontaneity.
Right. Yeah.
And just being spontaneous on the spot, like cool. I got I noticed you got fucking the iPhone. What do you think of this stupid thing? Like, whatever,
Yeah, I got one as well. Yeah. iPhone 4.
Yeah, I like the 4S. I got the 5, or I don't have the 5. I have the new Retina display iPad.
Oh yeah,
the freaking thing cost me almost $900.
Oh wow.
But but it's got the stupid little mini charging port, and I don't like it. I like this one better.
Yeah.
And I have like 4 other devices that have this charging port. Yeah.
That's Apple though. I mean, if they just change it just a little bit, they'll get that extra money out of you.
I know they do. It's kind of ridiculous, man. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? I mean, this 4S works good for now until they decide to make it run slow, and then I'll get mad and I'll have to buy a new one. But I'm almost thinking some of these Droid phones might even be better. The only thing is everything I own is Mac.
Yeah.
Everything. So it's a little more convenient to have the iPhone. Yeah.
Well, it definitely makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. It syncs up to my MacBook, and my iPad syncs up to my MacBook, and everything's syncing. I've got 2 MacBooks. Actually, yeah, I have the old one. I think built like a tank. I bought that brand new in 06. It just stays in my garage. It's the shop laptop.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's great. I even like plasti dipped it. I sprayed it all black. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Good times.
Yeah. Actually, that kind of just came into my head. Do you record anything at your place or in a studio or anything since you're using Mac?
No, not so much, man. I have to be honest. I am really, really, really I'm not technically inclined. I'm not. Let me rephrase that. I am not technologically inclined. I don't know how to work electronics for shit, man. I'm really bad. I have a TD-20 electronic drum kit, and that thing was it was like $6,500. I turn it on, and I turn the amp on, and I play, and it makes noise, and it's great. I went on YouTube, and I figured out how to kind of mess with the sounds. So I made a drum kit that sounds like an acoustic kit that I would play. I found all the time, and I was able to really get in, and it was like, it's so interactive. Like, the amount of editing you can do with the snare drum, changing the room, the reverb, everything, it's just crazy. But I got one kit that sounds really good, and that's all. I don't know how to use it. I have no idea how to use it, and I know that I could probably track with it and plug everything. I was just actually talking to Michael Keane about this. Michael Keane, the guitar player of Faceless, because he's pretty high tech guy. He's very, very techy. Me and him are good friends. We actually used to live down the street from one another.
Oh, nice.
And but we were talking. I'm like, dude, I'm just so bad with gear, because we were talking about session work. And I'm like, it's like almost a standard. I have guys that want me to track for them, and they want me to be self-sufficient with recording gear, and I just don't do that. I don't know how to. I could probably figure it out. I have all the gear. I'm probably all ready to go. Or maybe just buy like another thing. Maybe if I spend another $800, I could be 100% ready to go. But I don't know how to use any of that stuff. I messed with GarageBand a while back. There was a time where I was writing stuff on there, but that's been a long time. So I'm not too good with it.
Yeah, I've had that as well. It's like, some things I understand, some of them I don't. Whenever I have to practice with electronic kits or just using a brain for triggers, it's just like, as long as I can get a good sound of it, that's all I really care about.
Yeah, me too. It's funny, the setup that I have with Morbid Angel, I have a Drummit, two box or whatever it is. I don't even know how to work it. I have no idea how it works. My tech works it, and my front of house guy, he works it. They work it. They wire everything up, but I don't know how to set it up or tear it down. It's just there. You know what I mean? And it triggers. I know how to use a DM5, and that's about it. But we actually use the DM5 to trigger my kick drums, because for some reason the other machine we have doesn't trigger the kicks too well. Just doesn't work well with the Axis kits. So we bypassed it and just used the DM5, which is tried and true and works great. And I'm really not a fan of triggers, to be honest with you. I hate triggers. I can't stand them.
Honestly, I'm the same way too. It's like, I prefer the natural sound that comes out of a bass drum more than trigger. I understand the need for a trigger. I totally understand.
Yeah, once you start getting to a certain BPM, you almost kind of have to have triggers on the kick drums, but you don't need triggers on the toms, and you don't need triggers on the snare, and you don't need... I don't trigger anything else. We do have triggers on the toms, and those are just for the stage monitors. That's it. They don't even think they really even go through the front of house. We were blending them, but I don't even think that's going on anymore. So,
yeah. I totally understand. It's just like with my band, like, I started recently just getting into drum triggers because of the BPM that's required for it, and I'm still getting used to it. So, we're trying to blend like the natural bass drum sound with the trigger to like try to get the best of both worlds. I'm still trying to get that perfect, but it's just like, I prefer the bass drum sound so much more naturally, and
me too.
Goes with it.
Yeah, me too, definitely. But definitely when you start getting to certain BPMs, you almost kind of need a really synthetic kick drum sound for it to justify what you're doing. And that's when triggers do come in handy. It's funny because people always think triggers make you cheat and all these other funny things.
It's a little I've silly. Never agreed with that.
No, they don't. They don't play for you. You still have to. You can set them up depending on how you have set up. There could be no curve where you're not hitting super hard and they're going off loud, but you're just not going to hit as loud and as hard at 250 BPM as you will at 188. 200 even. So, it's kind of like they're kind of a necessary evil in this subgenre of heavy metal. But snare drum, no, I don't trigger the snare. I hit pretty hard. So we don't really need to trigger the snare.
Yeah, it's like anytime I have to do a blast, it's like I always prefer the sound of a natural blast of actually hitting the snare, on there, not that triggered sound, because I know there's a lot of death metal drummers out there that need that snare trigger to be able to blast on there to make it come through, and I've never been a fan of that.
You just got to hit harder.
Yeah, you just got to hit harder. Yeah.
In fact, our front of house guy said that he has to turn my snare down during the blast beats because it gets really loud. So that's a good thing to have, is like maintain the consistency with your levels, I guess. Because a lot of guys will hit really quiet during the blast part, and then they'll come into like a skank beat or like a slower part, and then just start wailing really hard, and it doesn't sound right. It doesn't go over well when you're live in a live scenario. So
yeah,
I always try to keep my levels consistent, no matter what BPM I'm at. I like try to keep the snare drum especially is more important than anything.
Oh yeah.
You know, kick drums, if you got them triggered and the curve setting's all the way up, they're gonna go off no matter what. But the snare drum setup, just make sure you're consistent with those hits. Yeah.
Which actually raises a good question, like being able to keep up that momentum, like through full Morbid Angel set, like. You guys are playing like all the fast songs from Morbid Angel. How hard is it to keep up that same momentum and consistency from the first song to the last?
Depends on how much I drank the night before and how much I slept. Really, that's completely honest. Like last night, I was okay. I met up with a friend and hung out, and I had like. Not even a glass of wine. I think I had like a quarter glass of wine, and I went to bed, put myself to bed. So I'm good. Like I slept about 7 hours. All right, I might lay down for half hour before going on. I'll usually take an hour nap before we play every night. I'll try to get that in there because I don't sleep too well on the bus.
Yeah.
And I usually do drink. It sounds awful, but I usually end up having a couple drinks before I go to bed every night. Usually a couple beers, or we get tequila and whiskey on the bus. So what I like to do is I'm not really a fan of shots anymore. I'm just getting too old for shots. I mean, not saying I haven't done any shots with anybody on this tour. We had a couple nights where we were partying and having fun, but I'll just get like a glass and I'll just fill it with ice, and I'll just put a little bit of whiskey in there, and I'll just sip it and relax, and then I just go to bed. Just kind of mellows me out a little bit. I always have trouble sleeping when the bus is going down the road. I'm probably the only guy that has that problem, because everybody else is like the opposite. Like I can't sleep unless the bus is like going down the road. Once it stops, then I can't sleep. I'm the complete opposite. But I also like usually sleep on my side, so I get rocked back and forth. And yeah, I'm trying to get used to laying on my back, but it's still, I have challenges sleeping when I'm at home, and being out on the road is even a bigger challenge when it comes to getting rest and sleeping, and it's essential for a good show.
Well, I mean, it's a part of the touring life, you know. It's like with the drinking and anything else that comes with that. I see no problem with doing that as long as it doesn't completely screw up how you're going to be playing.
Yeah, I mean, if you're falling down drunk every night, it's really the longevity in there is not very good. Yeah. I experienced all that in my 20s, and I lived and learned, and now I'm in my 30s. Now I just kind of know what works for my body and what doesn't, and it's good. It's all trial and error, and then you just kind of remember, okay, last time I did that didn't work out too well, you know. But mostly just drink a lot of water always helps. Yeah, you can never drink too much water on the road. I drink probably about a gallon a day.
That's a good way to be too. Yeah. I mean, especially summer slaughter, you know, with that being in July and August. I mean, that's like one of the most important times when you're outside and everything going on, to drink as much as you can, much water.
Definitely. I mean, between being on stage and off throughout a day, I'd say it's about a gallon.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that, though.
No, it's a lot of water.
It needs to be done.
But it's important. Keep hydrated.
Yeah. Oh, very true. It's fantastic being able to meet you, and of course being able to see you for the second time here tonight.
Right on.
And,
well, thank you, man. It's always good to conduct interviews. I like doing these type of things, and thanks for having me on here.
Oh, I'm glad I can do it, and I know it's going to be a fantastic show. You guys are playing almost all of my favorite Morbid Angel songs tonight, the ones that I haven't heard yet, so it's going to be awesome to me.
Good times.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to it as well. Hopefully it'll be good.
Oh, very cool. Once again, thank you for doing this great interview, and have a great show tonight.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Oh, not a problem.
Cool.
Once again, this has been Tim Yeung from Morbid Angel, and this is that German guy, Josh Runquist. Thank you.